This was our second time in India. The first trip had assaulted our senses, and this one did so too. We saw more animals this time. And some great sunsets, very friendly people, unusual drinks, very varied transport. These scenes were shot on the obligatory tuk-tuk ride. We had another toy train journey. It was fantastic on a houseboat on the backwaters of Kerala. But mostly we travelled in a small coach with just 5 other travellers, making 7 in the party, plus the guide and the driver. 9 of us all together on the coach.
Now we are passing through a town called Adimal. This is a main town near to Munnar.
So come with me on this tour to discover the wonders of South India. We flew Emirates from Glasgow, connecting at Dubai and into Bengaluru. This Google map shows the towns and the cities with the Indian writing and Indian names. A is Bangalore, B is Kabini, C Mysuru, D Ooty, E Madurai, F Munnar, G and I Aleppi, H Cochin. And this map highlights the 3 states we travelled in. The tour started in Bangalore. We went to the home of the Legislative Assembly, the state's parliament. Then on to the Bull Temple, the home to Nandi, the celestial bull, a big granite bull, with lots of street activity taking place outside, and an incredible temple with a chap inside inviting offerings. A good introduction to what was to come. We finished off our time in Bangalore by going to the Botanical Garden. A lovely place, a good end to the first day, and a bit of relaxation after the flight before we got into the serious business of travelling by coach around southern India. Our first proper stop during the tour was by the Kabini River, in the best hotel, in the best location, in the best place in the world. It wasn't just the sunsets that were amazing. The hotel's grounds were fantastic. You could walk and be quiet, peaceful, or you could relax in a beautiful, state-of-the-art modern room. They really have made an effort to get things right. During the afternoon, we went on a river safari and we saw elephants, marsh crocodiles, water birds. It was incredible. And that was good because during the morning we'd been on a jeep safari, and that had been exactly the same as the one we'd done in the north of India a couple of years earlier. We didn't see any animals then. Very strange. But worse than that, it was disorganised. The so-called guide didn't talk to us. We actually felt like refugees who were being rounded up and taken to a strange place to be sold. It was very uncomfortable. So the afternoon trip on the river made up for this. Fantastic. We knew from the programme which we had had in advance that we would have a lot of travel, and this day started lovely, but we weren't looking forward to a very long day of travelling. We didn't know what to expect, and nothing had prepared us for the sights en route. These images are of some locals that were just out having fun riding on an elephant. And these images were of people going to their local temple. We didn't stop, but it was great to have the opportunity to see how local people live their lives, including painting their cows. Wonderful. Indian people are very friendly, especially but not only the children. Everywhere we went, outside the major cities and towns, people wanted their photos taken with us. Especially with Sandra. These photographs are from the fourth day of the tour in Mysuru, and Mysuru was astonishing. There was so much to see that we got confused about where we were. We knew that the religious sites were spectacular, but we couldn't pronounce any of the place names, so we spent most of the time looking at the Indians, who seemed to be having a good time, so it didn't seem to be too serious, following their religion. or their pilgrimage, or whatever it was. You can't tell from these photos, but Mysore Palace was incredibly busy. Most of the local guides on the trip were very good, but we did have problems understanding them some of the time. And in areas like this, we were able to appreciate the splendour, but leave not knowing what the rooms had been used for. Obviously a display of wealth. Must check up what happened in these rooms in the past when the Maharajas lived here. The Toda tribe lived in these huts, and we had a member of the tribe explain their life and history to us. I got into trouble for walking on haloed ground with my shoes on, so it would have been useful to have been told that I needed to take my shoes off. Only a few people looked round. Most of the party were disinterested. And on to the second of the botanical gardens we visited. The initial plans for the garden were prepared by the Marquis of Tweeddale to provide vegetables to European residents at lower rates. In 1847, donations were raised to convert the space to a fully fledged horticultural society, one of the very first of its kind at a time when very few people were taking interest in seeds and saplings. The real transformation of the garden happened when a protege from Kew was sent by the East India Company, and it took him 10 years. It really was an action-packed day, and we even managed to include a ride on the Nilgiri Mountain Railway. Gorges, bridges, tea plantations, very good. Looking at the map, this area has an abundance of national parks. Certainly we travelled through quite a few, and again unfortunately we're hard pushed to know exactly where we were at any time. When we were selecting the tour, we had been concerned that we should minimise the amount of places visited, minimise the time taken to get between them. On reflection, we didn't do this well enough. We spent too much time in the coach, not enough time being in the places. Occasionally we knew where we were going, but we didn't know where we'd been. Often we didn't even know where we were, so it's fortunate that the GPS on these photos tell us that we're on the road to Madurai. Madurai is one of the oldest cities in India. As you'd expect, the city's got a number of historical monuments, including a temple and a palace. These photos are of the palace. Unfortunately, I didn't take many photos of our visit to the temple during the day. This was due to confusion with our guide, a useless chap who hadn't had any training, or if he had, he'd forgotten it. The other coach had got a guide who had provided a lot of information, so they knew what to expect. We didn't. They took photos, as permitted, with their mobile phones. I was frisked and shamed because I'd got a camera and I wasn't allowed to take a camera into the site. It's almost a fortnight since we started the tour. This is day 12, a day spent mainly travelling and enjoying the scenery. Some spectacular scenery, but it did get a bit repetitive after a while. By the time we got close to Munnar, I was tired and thirsty, so wanted a drink. So we stopped the coach and drank coconut milk directly from the coconut. Wonderful. Today we did a visit out to the Madurai lake. Again, it was great to see Indians on holiday. We went to this place called Echo Point and saw them calling out, getting their photos taken and doing some shopping in the touristy market close by. Our next visit was to a tea plantation, which was surprisingly interesting. But even more so was that we stopped en route to have a look at the nests of jungle honeybees, and that was incredible. Kathakali is an art form from Kerala, traditional dance, very dramatic, very colourful, very strange. The theatre for these shows was just down the road from the hotel. There was a very large group of friends on our tour, and they were very assertive and got to know all sorts of extra things that could be included, and they arranged for us to go and see a performance. Also on the same bill was a demonstration of martial arts. Apparently the performers were students. Very impressive. A good evening, but very strange. Another of the activities favoured by the group of friends was elephant riding, and they worked out that they'd be able to do this from the hotel, so again they sorted it. Although someone on our coach found out that the trip was planned, nobody was interested in actually doing the ride itself. However, we were interested in seeing what it looked like, so we managed to go in there and see others riding elephants. All Indians at play, having a good time, riding elephants. When I think of Kerala, I think of spices, vegetarians and houseboats riding, cruising the backwaters. Our cruise on the backwaters was one of the highlights of the trip. Our boat was very large and it was just for 4 people. The cruise was leisurely. We saw people living their normal lives beside the lagoon, getting on with the washing up, picking coconuts, whilst we were eating great food and watching the kingfishers and other wildlife. Very leisurely, very peaceful, great. Before we went, I thought that Cochin would be very interesting because of the Chinese fishing nets. Wrong, boring, over-orchestrated, touristy. The main interest here was for the shopping, especially the fresh fish and the spices. Our extension at the end of the holiday was just for a few days. We stayed at Madurai beach, which was near Alleppey, and certainly needed the rest after the long tour. It was a marvellous place. A great bungalow, good food, an organic small holding, a butterfly farm and white sandy beaches. Wonderful. So, did we think southern India was wonderful? Sort of. The people were. The scenery was. The hotels were. Would we go again? The answer's no. Mainly because the air quality was so terrible. We also chose the wrong company because the guides were inadequate, and we chose the wrong trip because the pace was relentless. However, it was the air quality that gave us the most problems. Maybe we picked a bad time. Maybe the weather was somehow distorting the air quality. It's going to take a very long time indeed to get rid of the problems we saw and breathed and choked on. Because Tony lives in Dubai, we wanted to see him. Suspended our prejudices, gave it a chance. But Sandra was ill throughout the whole stay, didn't see anything at all. I went out and toured around, felt uneasy, felt the presence of Big Brother, felt the drain on our bank balance because everything was so expensive, felt offended by the extreme wealth for some, felt intimidated by the strange modern architecture, totally over the top. We gave it a chance, we didn't like it, we were relieved to leave. We won't be coming back to Dubai. We don't know how you manage to live with your strange values. We're glad we've been, but we won't come again. So it's time for home. Time to reflect. Time to value the wonderful sights we've seen. We did value what we saw, especially in India, in Kabini. Maybe we'll return there one day. But I'll be surprised. There are too many other exciting places to go to.